Welcome back. Here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Sports thrill the followers of the games as the uncertainty of who will win or lose the game keeps us engaged. It is the zeal of players to win the game that attracts the fans and followers the most. However, sports, particularly cricket, has become a source of boundless entertainment and also hefty profits through illicit means including match fixing, spot fixing, betting, etc. Cricket matches are fixed is India's best known secret. Bets worth billions drive the performance of players and outcomes of matches. The act of match fixing is understood to be a dishonest activity to ensure that one team or individuals win a particular match. It is akin to deceiving the government, the public, especially the millions of fans in India. But in India, the criminal act of match fixing has not been defined or mentioned under any Indian criminal law. And thus, the act of match fixing is vaguely included in criminal conspiracy under Section 120A of the Indian Penal Code. Now, in the wake of many cases of organized crimes in sports, Maharashtra came up with an act in 1999 to specifically target organized crime. The act did not explicitly criminalize match fixing. Then in 2000, CBI surveyed Indian laws and found that only Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 is one law that could be convincingly useful for criminalizing the acts of match fixing by cricketers in the Indian cricket team. Match fixing is not an independent offence in India, and there is no special law covering the same. Now, this is despite the fact that most cricket bookies come from India, the game's global commercial hub, or have strong links to it. Data from industry body FICCI, in fact, pegs market for underground or illegal sports betting at over 300,000 crore rupees. So, clearly, one thing is there that match fixing in India is not considered as cheating. We are saying this because if a cricketer in Sri Lanka is found guilty of match fixing or an administrator in that country is found to have been involved in illegal sports manipulation, he or she would face a fine of up to $555,000 or a 10-year jail term. There are such laws in Australia and South Africa as well. How long will India live with a situation where match fixing will continue as unethical? Now, Karnataka High Court has said that the issue of match fixing cannot be considered as cheating. We are saying this because Karnataka High Court said this while quashing a charge sheet against 3 players and a team official of Karnataka Premier League. Now, High Court has ruled that match fixing may indicate dishonesty, indiscipline and mental corruption of a player. It tantamounts to cheating lovers of the game but can't come under Section 420 of the IPC. As per Karnataka High Court, BCCI is the authority to initiate disciplinary action. Now, we all know that a call intercepted by Delhi police in 2000 between Sanjeev Chawla, an alleged bookie, and the then South African captain, in which it was revealed that cricketer had accepted money in exchange of losing a few international matches, brought actually match fixing in cricket into limelight in India and the entire world. Cricket boards like BCCI and PCB took weak, diluted steps towards dealing with corruption. Match fixing is spreading like wildfire. Still, it's not considered as cheating or criminal conspiracy. So on Urban Debate tonight, we want to discuss why is match fixing in cricket, if considered unethical, not declared illegal? Why isn't it cheating? And joining us on the broadcast this evening is Neeraj Kumar, former Delhi Police Commissioner, Charu Sharma, senior sports commentator, Advocate Rahul Mehra, sports activist and lawyer, Ashok Malhotra, former Indian cricketer, Nikhil Sharma, sports commentator and author, also live with us this evening. Good evening. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Mr. Neeraj Kumar, I want to begin the discussion with you. Year 2000 exposed the word match fixing that was being considered, in fact, as a watershed moment in the world of cricket, and the expectation was that probably something will change, but nothing really. And now we've had a judgment of Karnataka High Court coming out wherein it mentioned that match fixing is not equal to cheating. Are you disappointed?
Very much so. It is very disappointing. It is very frustrating for the police. See, it all boils down to interpretation of law. If you mentioned the Hansi Cronje case, a charge sheet was filed, it was put up before the court. The court took cognizance. It did not say that an offence is not made out. Based on that case and based on that evidence, we managed to get Sanjeev Chawla extradited from London. It is the only case of extradition under the mutual extradition treaty between India and the UK. So that court accepts match fixing as an offence. It has, framed charges. It has made a request to the concerned court in the UK, on the basis of which Sanjeev Chawla was extradited. Based on that case, as you know, proceedings were started against Hansi Cronje and so on. The 2013 spot fixing case, the trial court took another view. Amongst the various reasons that the court cited for discharging the accused, one of the reasons was that there is no specific law to deal with terms like match fixing, spot fixing, corruption in cricket or corruption in sports, and so on and so forth. So it is a matter of opinion. It is a matter of what interpretation of law, and therefore there is a grey area. And the unfortunate part of it is that the syndicate of bookies who run into thousands and thousands, they are present in almost every nook and cranny of our country. They go scot-free. The cricketers who get corrupted also go scot-free, but at least there is some kind of disciplinary action against them by the boards. You remember that Mohammad Azharuddin, Ajay Jadeja, Manoj Prabhakar, Ajay Sharma, they were indicted in the 2000
yes.
match fixing inquiry. You are aware that 3 cricketers were indicted by the BCCI in the 2013 spot fixing inquiry, and so on and so forth. But the bookies, the corruptors, who are in thousands and who constitute this massive syndicate of organized crime, which runs into thousands of lakhs of crores, they go scot-free. That is the greatest pity.
Okay, but sir, as far as Azharuddin case is concerned, we know how the Andhra Pradesh High Court in 2012 then set aside his life ban, and then similar things happened with other cases as well. So Charu Sharma, I want to understand from you, what really should be done, because if BCCI is the authority to look into this particular matter, what happens to bookies and other agents, and you keep your fingers on the pulse of the game, how rampant is fixing in 2022?
Well, Heena, the biggest danger here is that you've got such a lovely, august panel with so many people, and we're trying to solve this situation or offer opinion in it in just a few minutes. It's not going to happen. But as Mr. Neeraj Kumar said, that there are several grey areas here. For starters, I must confess, and I feel personally aggrieved because I had sorry to sound really modest, but I had a big hand in the making of the Karnataka Premier League, and we started in right earnest. It did fabulously well for the cricketers who went through it. Till, of course, sadly, some people were very unethical in their behavior and ruined the whole league, as it were, and I have no doubt about their guilt, and there's no condoning of what they did. But, if you go by the Honorable High Court and their reasoning, if there is no particular crime or IPC or whatever it's called, if you can't bottle it up into one, section 4 ABCD, then perhaps the court says, well, we don't have provision for this. In the future, if there's provision, of course, all these people should be behind bars, and whatever the punishment is should be meted out. But for the moment, what seems to be the situation here is that the sport in this case cricket, and all sports need to be responsible for their own mores and their own codes and their own laws as well, which cricket certainly does, because if there's some match fixing that's proven, by the way, players are banned for life for 4 years or this or that. There are several other areas where sports are individually responsible. For instance, let's talk about the other umbrella that should not happen in the world of sport, which is performance enhancement through drugs. Now, there is a World Anti-Doping Act, WADA. There's a National Anti-Doping Cell as well. And if players are found guilty, and they are from time to time, sadly, again, very unethical behavior, then the sport takes care of it. It's not so much in court. The courts don't decide whether some performance-enhancing drug was taken and whether somebody jumped 8.29 meters instead of 8.69. The sport says, we don't think you did something ethical. We have laws for this. We have mores for this, and therefore we'll punish you by a life ban or a 4-year ban or whatever else it is, provided, of course, these things are proven. So I'll end this point of time here. Like I said, you've got a lot of other people. There's this other thing about the bookies and what have you. Now, betting is considered illegal in India. So I don't know why there should be 300,000 lakh crores or millions and billions being traded in this whole illegal betting scenario, and nothing is done about that. Because if there is a law and there's a law against betting, then people should be caught and incarcerated. And the minute that happens, hopefully that whole menace will reduce. Or, of course, as you know now, there's this whole movement of trying to legalize betting, which will earn the government a lot of revenue and maybe lessen the nefarious, translucent or opaque manner in which betting is done in India. So this is a really wide topic, Heena. And, if you have another few hours, I'm happy to chat.
Well, we just have a few minutes, you're right, but we really want to, seek the opinion of each one of you, because it's a very important matter. And today it's being highlighted because of what the Karnataka High Court has said. Because, the question, Advocate Rahul Mehra, then remains, how do you establish the offence if it's not cheating? Because in this case specifically, in the case of Karnataka Premier League, the arrests were made under Section 420 of the IPC.
That's right. Thanks for having me on your show, Heena. Actually, this is a menace which is a menace more than 2 decades, at least, which is documented in India. It all started in 1999-2000, and luckily there was somebody who confessed the guilt, Mr. Hansi Cronier. Otherwise, we would have just brushed it under the carpet by saying it was a figment of imagination of a few individuals. So thankfully, everything is documented, and we know that there is this real-time monster which is actually plaguing a fair game or a sport which millions, if not billions, watch across the globe. Now, this is not only specific to cricket. It's across sports. Wherever there is money in sports, it becomes lucrative to fix matches, to do spot fixing. I actually wouldn't blame any of these stakeholders who are right now being allegedly put in the dock. Obviously, these are guilty people, the bookies and the players who don't have any soul, I would say, because they've actually sold their soul away. They've sold their country. And this is the most heinous of offenses, according to me, for which the minimum punishment should be life imprisonment. If you sell your country when you are actually representing the country, when people, when people are actually putting, and they're making you as demigods, and then you go and sell off your nation, there's nothing more serious than that. But who are the guilty ones? And I think I would like to put this in perspective. I think, according to me, the guilt really squarely lies, at the door of the government of the day and the government then. In 2000, it was BJP led by Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, one of the finest political leaders India has ever had. 2005, 4-5, it was Manmohan Singh for 10 long years. And thereafter, Mr. Modi and his government for last 7-8 years. Why is it for the last 21 years, under different regimes, we can't even get a basic law which is as serious as fixing a match while you are representing your country? What is it that is keeping the politicians of the day and the political masters of the day away from giving a law? We know that this government, at least this government, I can consider that Mr. Manmohan Singh probably was not that decisive and therefore it didn't come. But we all know how decisive Mr. Modi is, right? We all give him accolades for it. So therefore, why is it that 7 long years have been taken when the Home Minister's son is the secretary of BCCI? Why is it that the law can't come? You know, ordinances are passed. Within minutes, ordinances are passed by the government. What is keeping the government of the day? What is keeping the administrators of the day? What is keeping the sports minister of the day away from bringing a legitimate law which defines match fixing, which clearly defines spot fixing, which fixes the guilt, which gives us the parameters and the guidelines as to and the procedure to be followed? And why is it that we don't have even a small punishment of a single day, forget a deterrent of a life imprisonment, which I'm talking about, for as heinous an offense as match fixing and spot fixing? Why? So the intent, it is the political intent. That
so there's law.
And Mr. Kapil Sibal, let me, just allow me. Mr.
So
Kapil
it's the political intent.
2013, Mr. Kapil Sibal said that the law is ready and we will place it in the monsoon session of 2013 and we will pass this law. 2014, a new government comes in. Where is that draft? What is happening with the sports ministry?
In 2016, National Sports Ethics Commission bill was introduced as part of a private member's bill. The list is long, and that too by Mr. Anurag Thakur. That never, saw the light of the day after that. And that actually mentions rigorous punishment of up to 10 years and a fine, which is double the, in fact, 5 times the amount that's involved in match fixing. But what happened to that? Of course, those are important questions. But Mr. Ashok Malhotra, yes, 1 second. Mr. Ashok Malhotra, going by
Congress, why is BJP and
Yes.
Congress, the two political parties, the major ones, why is it that they're not in unison saying that we want a law against match fixing? Who are you protecting? Who are you protecting? Why is the game so important that you
Mr.
know
Ashok
that
Malhotra, the question that is being asked is, of the political establishment. It seems that it's a happy boys club that runs world's cricket called as gentlemen's game, and the governments seem to be turning a blind eye year after year.
See, the fact is, we know it is rampant. We all know that. It started from the top, but probably now it filtered down to the bottom. Even small tournaments which takes place in all the cities, most of them are kind of fixed. If it is on television, it is kind of fixed. And then these have these state premier leagues. All of them. It is a way of doing it. But when somebody like Karnataka High Court gives a judgment in favor of them, it gives a free run to the bookies. We keep catching these some cricketers and then make an example out of it, but nothing happens. My funda is, if it is $1 million industry, why don't we make it official like it is in all the other countries? The betting syndicates is now so much so that even the Dream 11, my 11, all these 11 are what? They are kind of betting syndicates. They are the one who are encouraging, and they are being encouraged. So the fact is, it is a $1 billion industry, and I don't think the players are the one who really benefits. The players are being very, very well paid, especially the top ones. When you have local tournaments, TNCA, TNPL, Karnataka, Rajputana, and whichever. I'm not pointing my fingers at any Premier Leagues, but the fact is they all are because you don't know which guy has bought their side. If they bet on horses, they bet on players. The fact is, somebody has to stop it. But it does not have to start from the top. Why not the administrators in the respective state jurisdictions? Why can't they stop it? But if the court keeps giving them the free run, if the court keeps giving judgment in their favor, then you can't stop it. Nothing can be done. I know gentlemen saying we should have a law. Sure, we should have a law. But who will bring the law? The governments. And the governments, you can't put it at the doorstep.
But the point then still remains, Nikhil Sharma, what can courts also do? There is no law. What will the courts do? What can the courts do? Because if you see in Sri Lanka, if a cricketer is found guilty in match fixing, there is a fine, there is a jail term of up to 10 years. But in India, what is the maximum that you get? A bad name for some time, or you're banned for a few years. In the past, we've seen even that getting set aside by various courts.
Good evening, Heena. Well, first and foremost, more as a fan and not really as somebody who's part of the sports ecology, I'm extremely dismayed. I'm extremely disappointed with the judgment of the Honorable Karnataka High Court. I find it very strange that the Chief Justice there has come out and come out and said that it is not a criminal offense. I'm equally baffled that the prosecution hasn't really put forth any strong points of whatever we can read. They're equating a sport which is now a multi-billion-dollar business to something which is fun, which is of course it's fun. It means so much more to the millions of fans, and not just cricket. Every sport across the world has seen instances of match fixing. We're not talking betting here. Betting is a very different animal as far as as long as there's no conflict of interest. But it's just so strange that this has gone so easily. It's a 2019 case. It's Karnataka Premier League is not a small league. Tomorrow it can happen in the IPL. It can happen across the world. There have been various precedences across the world. What prevents the court from taking these precedences and deciding that this is it? We've got to act in the interest of business at large. We've got to, act in the interest of the sport. We don't need to go to the government every time. Of course, the government is, I can't say a party to it, but they have to bring in something wherein the interests of millions and millions of people living in a country and across the world are taken into cognizance. That is a separate question. I'm just amazed at how easily the courts let it go rather than sitting on it, discussing it. And maybe, people like us have an equal part to kind of not follow this up thoroughly. I think we've tomorrow, as Mr. Malhotra was saying, that tomorrow, if everybody's going to now believe, well, it's not a criminal case, let's go ahead and do it. What's the max that can happen? Oh, you'll be banned for a couple of years. It's just like doping. It is not. Match fixing deals with much bigger things than betting or doping, for that matter. It's unfortunate. I'm very disappointed myself as a fan.
Okay, Mr. Neeraj Kumar, now, you actually exposed two very important scandals in the country, match fixing in 2000 and spot fixing in 2013. All the hard work of policemen goes down the drain when we get judgments like these, isn't it? They catch culprits, criminals, no, they will be off the hook because the legal framework, sir, has not been created. And I remember in 2013, you said that the, investigations in the 2000 match fixing probe were put to an abrupt end. Why?
Oh, that is a long story. I cannot reveal to you the inside story behind it because I don't have evidence for it. But the point of the matter is that, betting being legalized is not going to solve the problem. Because please understand, the people who fix matches or who corrupt the game are people who do not bet legally. When betting is legalized, small bettors, maybe like you and me, who put, say, 200 rupees, 500 rupees as bets, will bet through, the check or through our credit card or debit card. But the large punters who deal in khokhas and petis, which means crores and lakhs, they will still keep betting in black money. And it is these people who will corrupt the game. Small bettors who resort to official betting do not or will not corrupt the game. So this is one point, that legalizing betting is not going to help. All that it is going to do is that small-time bettors will have a legal platform to bet. But no government of the day will legalize betting because it would tantamount to accepting gambling as a way of life, and nobody will, bite that bait or legalize betting because it will earn a very bad name. The crux of the matter is that till such time that there is a legal regime in the country, nothing is going to happen. It is a low-hanging fruit which the government of the day can pluck very easily. There is already a bill in the parliament which has been pending since 2013. It needs to be kind of taken out, studied and passed. And as has been pointed out, that the main body which should push for this act is the BCCI itself. And the BCCI, which has close connections with the government in power today, can easily get this bill through. So the problem will be sorted out.
A legal regime is something that's the need of the hour. Mr. Neeraj Kumar, sorry to interrupt there. Do you see a nexus between the match-fixing mafia and terror networks? Is that what you found during your investigation?
Most certainly. The 2013 investigations were all about this. We had recordings of none other than Dawood Ibrahim giving directions to his cronies to fix matches and to compromise cricketers. We had, telephone intercepts, and we had the entire chain of his cronies and how they were in touch with various bookies who were then compromising the cricketers through their proxies. So we have enough evidence, and this has been there for a long, long time. The Mumbai police also had evidence of these linkages, and the 2013 spot fixing case had very concrete evidence to prove this nexus. But unfortunately, nothing came out of it.
Nothing came out. Charu Sharma, is it the presence of politicians in cricket administration that today we do not have any law?
I'm not so sure. I think, nobody really likes this kind of unethical behavior. Mr. Kumar said that there was so much proof so often, and I'm a little perplexed why there was no, crime established or why there was no punishment. Because if there was that level of proof, then surely the courts could have taken some action. I am not privy to the extent or magnitude of proof, but, politicians, let's not brush them all, let's not tar them with the same brush, because, some of them are actually very useful for the sport because they bring in a lot of support to sports where support is lacking. And if the politician or some other senior person of equity or of wealth can bring in support for that sport, the support is desperately needed. So let's not, kind of say that the politicians don't make for good administrators or whatever. They, at times, are of great use to the sport, which is not getting very heavily funded at all. But if that is indicating that there's some nexus involved for their own good, then of course, all these things need to be studied and maybe cases made and some indictments need to happen. So I'm very happy to ask Mr. Kumar today. Perhaps he, may not be able to offer the answer today. If there's such a heavy volume of proof, how come nothing ever came of it?
Mr. Neeraj? It is quite shocking when match fixing actually has been feeding terror acts against India, yet nothing has been done.
Yes, I want to reiterate that the evidence was in the form of telephone intercepts. Whatever promises were made by the cricketers, we had video recordings of their implementing or their fulfilling those promises. And we had money trails of the utilization of the money that was given to those players in return for the favors they had shown to the bookies. It was all in black and white. It was all there in form of technical evidence. But again, the court said, well, there's no act, there's no law, there is this, there. It gave a whole lot of reasons for discharging the case. Can you believe it? everyone was discharged, including the bookies. So everyone went scot-free. It is another matter that the Delhi police has gone in appeal against that order, and the matter is pending before the Delhi High Court. Unfortunately, because of COVID and all, everything is now on hold. But the fact of the matter is that the trial court should have taken cognizance and should have proceeded. They discharge all the accused, which is a great pity.
Heena, can I just...
Yeah.
Heena, I have a question
Yes.
for Mr. Kumar. I have a question for Mr. Kumar. When we
One
say
second,
that...
one second. Before that, I have a question for you, Advocate Rahul Mehra. 1 second. Before that, I have a question for you. The point that I want to ask you is, why does everyone want courts to be the class monitor? Why have we not seen BCCI itself going to the government and saying, we need a law? What should we do about this menace of match fixing?
So that's your question. Your question actually has an answer in it. The very fact that BCCI is not going to the government of the day for last more than 22 years, ever since this was unearthed. And there is a CBI report in 2000 when the match-fixing Hansi Gronier scandal happened. There is a CBI investigation which clearly says that there is something which doesn't meet the eye. There is BCCI is equally guilty, and there are administrators out there who it's absolutely unimaginable that all this was happening without even an inkling to the BCCI administrators. So therefore, that is a part of the CBI investigation. My issue is that for 22 years, forget BCCI, if there is a serious government at the center, there was majority with the UPA government, there is a brute majority with the NDA government. Why is it that suo motu action is not taken? These are the worst of the corrupt people who are selling the soul of the nation.
Of course, that's an important point you're making. Why do we not have a law if somebody crosses the red light? If somebody crosses the red light, you know, there is a punishment for that person. But if there is match fixing happening, then there's no law that will define the punishment. But Advocate Rahul Mehra, now the details that Mr. Neeraj Kumar was giving us, going by those, in your opinion, despite so much of evidence, why nothing really happened?
So the problem is not of the court. I'm sorry. All of us are misguided out here when we are blaming the court. The court has done the right thing.
No, we are trying to understand the story. We are trying to understand the story. We are trying to connect the dots here.
May I just ask a simple question from the investigators? Please put your hand on your heart and please tell us whether such an offense, because of lack of any better offense, we are charging everybody under Section 420 IPC because nothing else exists. So therefore, there is a serious offense happening. There is no ingredient as far as these cases are concerned of match fixing and spot fixing. Over and over again, courts have been telling us, first in 2013, in 2015, in 2018, now in 2021, that please get a law. Now, if the ingredients of the law of the particular section the evidence is not matching up with the ingredients, how can you blame the the institution which only the duty is to interpret and to give a decision based on the law? They can't make the law. Law is to be made by the legislature, not by the judiciary.
So that is exactly what I had also said. What can the courts also do if there is no law?
Correct.
What can the courts really do if there is no law? That is the point that I also made earlier. But Mr. Ashok Malhotra, okay, picking up from what Advocate Rahul Mehra has said, Ashok Malhotra, courts, we know, have been asking for cleanup in this case. Courts have asked for clarity in laws as well. Courts as well as experts say a law is needed. In a country like India, where cricket is equivalent to the religion here, cricketers are considered as gods, then why is it that bookies are above the law and religion?
See, the fact is, I was hearing to Mr. Neeraj, Rahul, Charu. The fact is, that, it is very rampant. We all know that. If Mr. Neeraj Kumar, the way say he had the proof, he did a great job, but despite of that, nothing really happened. It's no use passing on the buck to the BCCI, to the either you do it together. But if court passes a judgment, I know Mr. Rahul Mehra does not agree with that, but if court passes a judgment, it becomes authentic. They get a free run. The bookies get a free run. It is always the cricketers who get caught, whether half of them have done it, half of them have not done it, half of them are two big names who somehow they get a leeway from maybe the higher authorities. I would not know. But the fact is, it is rampant. Except for who got caught publicly was the Pakistanis, the Salman Bas, the Asif, the armies. Otherwise, you never have anybody caught publicly. So it is rampant. And as I said before, it is filtered down all the way. And it is rampant, believe you me, from a local club tournaments to the leagues, to the whosoever, wherever. It is rampant, but there is no proof. And whosoever gets caught goes away scot-free after a year, after 2 years. We have seen people getting caught and then getting away scot-free. So I don't know who to blame, who to pass on the buck. But the fact is, it is rampant. And that is why I said, I know Mr. Neeraj said, if you make it official, it will be like a lot, a common man will be participating in it. And it is this fixing is done, the betting is done by rich and famous people. Believe you me, it is the middle class men don't put money in that. It is the rich and famous who pump in money, who has extra money, who has extra time, who watch these games. They've got no interest in the whether India wins or India loses. And it is not rampant only in cricket. It is rampant in all the sports. All the sports, believe you me. And it is cricket because it is the #1 sport in the country. That is why it is highlighted. But it is rampant all over, believe you me.
No, Mr. Malhotra, you're absolutely right because Nikhil Sharma, I was just looking at some data during the pandemic. Sports Radar, a company that collects and analyzes data, in fact, tracked about 6 lakh matches across 26 sports in 2020 and found steep rise in suspicious match manipulation or betting activity in, sports like football, table tennis, esports and volleyball as well. So it's spreading like wildfire, yet we aren't really doing enough to control it.
Absolutely, Heena. I kind of agree with Mr. Mehra. He's done, fantastic job as far as, active work in the field of sports. However, I must say, and I totally agree to the fact that, the government must step in, the BCCI must step in. There should be, legislation. But I can't get beyond the fact that, the council put in an argument in this case which stated that people buy tickets to go watch matches, and hence that it amounts to cheating if people have influenced the result of a match. Cricket isn't anymore, or sport isn't anymore only about people watching in the matches in the stadium, or the ones who are spending that money. As far as the cricket matches are concerned, cricket now is a cricket and sport and overall is such a big business that I'm just appalled overall that the prosecution didn't work this case in a form that this amounts to cheating, as would be the case in any other business or any other case. I mean, I'm at loss of words in terms of what has happened in this particular case and why. It's not something that one needs to be so vociferous about. Just the fact that something like this, the Honorable High Court in Karnataka stating that match fixing it does not amount to an offense, and maybe by all means bring in a law that fixes what penal code it will be cheating under, but it has to be punishable. And not saying every person who does it under the same circumstances at the same scale, and hence the law will most definitely help. And it's not just cricket. There have been numerous instances in local league matches in football in India, whether it's the Goa Pro League, they've been probed, whether it's the Meghalaya Premier League, whether it's the Calcutta Premier League. A lot of matches in India have had syndicates trying to influence team owners, players, and it's not healthy for sport in general and for people who follow it so religiously. And, nowadays I hear some people say that, well, we know...
So, Charu, the cricketer here is saying it's rampant. The police officer who caught the fixers is here on the show today. The lawyer who wants a law says it's not happening. So where does the fan go?
Good question. Does the fan know what he or she is buying into? Now, for instance, you mentioned the fans, and one of the more, I don't know why, but one of the more popular watches on television is this thing called wrestling entertainment or whatever. They don't even make any bones about it. They say it's sports entertainment. So, and there's no guarantee that, so-and-so is competing against so-and-so who's going to win. I think a lot of the, maybe not the younger ones, but a lot of other fans know that there's a certain level of, should we say, arranged drama in that sport, but people still watch it in very large numbers. So where does the fan go, Heena? The fan goes wherever they want to with full knowledge of what's going on. I mean, if the fan says, I don't like something that happened there, maybe there's a little something fixed. Well, that's your problem, because for the moment, there's no fine print in a ticket that a fan buys, or presuming buying something, not just watching it free, that in case you feel something is not right, we will refund the ticket. So you go at your own peril, like you do for so many other things in life. You go at your own peril. If you like it, you enjoy it, you watch it.
Watch
great.
fixed matches which are a sham, come back home and say, I love the game.
So Heena, listen, once again, I think we're being a little excessive here. I mean, if you think everything is fixed, it's not. I mean, for the sports persons, let's give it a percentage.
Most of it.
For 98, no, I'm quite the reverse. 98% of the sports persons, and if you play yourself, you would know, I'm sure you did something or the other, the only currency is performance. Performance takes you forward. Okay, so you want to perform to the best of your ability all the time. That is the nature of a hardworking sports person. Now, is there a bad apple in every barrel? Possibly. And so too in the world of sport, it mirrors life. It mirrors life, because every once in a while you'll find people who are bad apples in a barrel. Now, you're not going to throw the whole barrel away, for heaven's sake. I mean, sports is a very, very massive, generally healthy, helpful activity. You don't want to say, no, sports should be banned because of the possibility that there's a bad apple. Come on, let's just kind of calm down.
We're not saying that. We're not saying that at all. We're just saying that if match fixing is happening, it needs to be punished appropriately. I want to give the last word to Advocate Rahul Mehra. Yes, 10 seconds only. I'm completely out of time now.
There are accidents that happen on the road. You want to stop everybody from driving? Come on.
So Heena, to say that only 2% of the matches
I'm not saying that. I'm just looking for a clear definition. If there is match fixing, what does it fall under? That's it. It's not cheating. It's not a criminal offense. It's not a criminal conspiracy. What is it?
I'm not saying
fans. That's different.
Heena, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Mr. Sharma just said, Mr. Charu Sharma, that probably 98% of the matches are honest results and 2% could be fixed, is what I heard. If that be the case, even then, laws are always brought to protect individuals from illegalities. And even if it's 2%, which in any case is very high, if it is, even then, I say, even if it is 0.02%, there should be a law, a deterrent, because out here we are not talking about anybody getting entertained. We are talking about people who believe that they are going in to watch an honest game based on performance, and who is representing 11 players in cricket and maybe individuals otherwise in other sports, depending on the sport discipline, are representing the country. Our nation's name and cricket being a religion in India, the very religion is at stake. You're selling your religion. You're selling your soul. And therefore, for God's sake, have a law.
Well, the fans are cheated here, and that's the reason why it is important that there is a law sooner than later. I'm completely out of time now, but I appreciate all of you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Yes. All agree there should be a law sooner than later. Thank you very much, all of you, for the moment for joining us. We'll see how soon it becomes a reality. With this, we will slip into another very, very short break, but there's lots lined up for you on the other side as well. Don't go anywhere.